Now to the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Afghanistan since the Taliban's takeover. The country's economic collapse has led to a rising hunger crisis gripping the nation as Afghan families struggle to just meet basic needs, with some now going to extremes to put food on the table. ABC News senior foreign correspondent Ian Pannell has a story.
It's almost 6 months since the Taliban swept to power in Afghanistan, when the US-backed government collapsed and American and NATO troops retreated. They rule the land with their rifles and restrictions, but that isn't enough to run a country. It takes money, experience and support, and the Taliban have almost none of these. Afghanistan's in freefall. Thousands of girls denied an education, women banned from going to work, and its people are starving to death. The wheelbarrows and carts of Kabul are laden high with the best the land can provide. But this is a market without customers. Most Afghans have run out of money. When the Taliban took over, more than $9 billion in assets were frozen to prevent it from falling into the Taliban's hands. But it's taken just 6 months to drive 23 million people to the brink of starvation. And the world is now realizing, without financial aid, normal Afghans are doomed. The UN has about $135 million in Afghanistan, but it can't access it because the Taliban-run central bank lacks the infrastructure to convert it. Every day, the need only grows, battling hunger that will not wane, feeding lines of people that only grow longer. The hunger that stalks this land now saves its cruelest blow for the smallest of bellies. In December, we went to the Indira Gandhi Hospital in Kabul. It's the only one in the country dedicated to caring for children. When we visited 2 months ago, its wards were overrun with malnourished kids, emaciated and sick, with bloated stomachs and limbs, so young and yet already fighting for their lives.
Little Mohammed here is absolutely tiny. He's 2 years old. He weighs just about 11 to 12 pounds. He should weigh something much closer to around 30. He's just skin and bone. His mother doesn't have the money to get the medicine that he needs.
A few weeks later, we go back to check on the 2-year-old. He was in the hospital again, so weak he could no longer open his eyes. Obaidullah says his son started feeling ill over the summer. He's been in and out of the hospital ever since. But paying for the treatment is hard. Obaidullah was already a victim of the Taliban, losing his legs when his car hit a landmine. Since the militants took power, he's a victim once more, losing his job as a tailor.
All I want is a job opportunity, so our lives can get better. I'm an educated person. I am able to serve this country. But right now, there's nothing to do.
Resources are scarce, and desperate times call for desperate measures. To keep warm during the long, cold winter months, he now has to boil water. Back at home, little Mohammed lays next to the kettle, still, almost silent and barely alive. For millions of souls across this benighted land, every day is a fight to survive. And when all hope is gone, some parents are doing the unthinkable. It's normally the girls who are sold first, and when the pangs of hunger become too much to bear, some families sell their little boys too.
As of now, this child belongs to me. I have the right to sell him. If things would have been better, I would have let him study. But we've been left like this. It's normal to sell our daughters, but the situation is so bad, I have to sell my son because we're hungry. What happens to my son once I sell him is not up to me. He could end up being killed, or he could be allowed to go to school.
Pots that were once used for cooking now hold rocks for children to play with. Everywhere, people are being forced to make the most appalling choices. These men show scars on their abdomens. They say they've sold their organs for food. Life for so many has become a living hell.
I couldn't go out and beg for money, so I decided to go to the hospital and sell my kidney. That way, I could at least feed my children for some time.
Millions of Afghans are in a slow death march towards famine. The world's largest humanitarian crisis looms. Afghans today make up one of the largest refugee populations in the world. Hundreds of thousands have already fled to nearby Iran and Pakistan. And those left in Afghanistan are at the mercy of fundamentalists. With no real plans for running a government, let alone a country. The aid is blocked, the money tied up in banks, and it's children like Mohammed who end up bearing the brunt. The days fall away as millions await relief. But for Mohammed, the smallest of victories, his father tells us his baby is now able to at least open his eyes once more.
Little Muhammad just encapsulates the problem there. Our thanks to Ian Pannell for bringing us that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.